explore various sessions, and please ask questions. But before we start, I'd like to begin our virtual open house event with a land acknowledgement. If you're not familiar with this practice, land acknowledgements are a way to share space with Indigenous people through the weaving of Indigenous protocols into university procedures. Land acknowledgements prompt us to think about relationships between Indigenous peoples and institutions. As many of us joining this evening are on the St. John's campus, we'd like to respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk and the island of Newfoundland as the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk. We'd also like to recognize the Inuit of Nunatasavut and Nunatukavut and the Innu of Nitassinan and their ancestors as the original peoples of Labrador. We strive for respectful relationships with all peoples of this province as we search for collective healing and true reconciliation and honor this beautiful land together. Now, I'd like to take a minute to provide a quick overview of the entire event. This event will be held over 3 evenings. Tonight, we're going to start with a student panel, then move on to 3 separate program and admissions sessions, one for international students, one for Canadian students outside of Newfoundland, and one for Newfoundland applicants. After that, we'll have presentations covering information on 3 of our Memorial University campuses: the Grenfell campus located in Corner Brook, the Labrador campus in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and the Marine Institute located here in St. John's. Over the following 2 nights, on Wednesday and Thursday, we'll have student panels and sessions covering 10 undergraduate academic units located here on the St. John's campus. Each panel will have current Memorial University students representing the academic units presenting that particular evening. Tomorrow evening on Wednesday, we'll have all our direct entry programs: business, music, human kinetics and recreation, humanities and social sciences, engineering, and the Faculty of Science. So please get your questions ready. We know that our staff and faculty from these units and our students are waiting to answer your questions. Then on Thursday, we'll have our non-direct entry programs: education, pharmacy, social work, and nursing. The student panels will be held in the main room, which is where you are now. Then we'll move to the breakout sessions where you can choose your own adventure by selecting the room that fits your interest. At any point in time, you can ask questions by using the Q&A function within this platform, and we'll have these questions presented to the panelists in each room. So I would like to start our first panel. We have some students joining us today from the St. John's campus that have gone through the experience that hopefully many of you will be doing within the next year, whether you're joining us in the winter, spring, or fall of 2023. That transition to university life can sometimes feel a little bit daunting. So we decided to put some questions together and have some panelists ready that are really going to provide you some insight into what that transition is like, or what it was like for them specifically. We have Himanshu, Nick, Rebecca, and Tim from our St. John's campus. And I'm going to start by asking each of them to introduce themselves and provide us a little bit of background so you get a context of where they come from, what year they're studying, and what program they're studying right now. So I'm going to start with Himanshu and then go to Nick and Becky. So Himanshu, do you want to start us off?
Thanks. Hey everyone, my name is Himanshu. I'm from India, from the northern part of India, and this is my first year as an engineering student. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great. Nick, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Nick. I'm a fourth year Bachelor of Commerce co-op student here at Memorial University, and I'm currently on my second work term in the Office of Student Recruitment.
Excellent. So Nick and I have gotten to know each other very well over the past several weeks that he's been working in our office. And we also have Becky joining us today on our panel.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky Martin. I am a current fifth-year student in the Humanities and Social Sciences, pursuing English and a minor in linguistics. And I'm actually from central Newfoundland, about 4.5 hours away. But I've kind of made St. John's my home over the last few years, and I'm very involved with MUN itself. So if anyone has any questions about that too, I can always open that door.
Excellent. So I think I'm going to start with the first question to and give each of you a chance to answer this question because it's one that comes up quite often that we use to sort of get things warmed up. I do encourage the attendees to submit questions that we can ask our panelists, but I'm going to start with the first one. So based on the saying, I wish I knew then what I know now, what can you give some advice for incoming students who are starting at their first semester? Becky, do you want to start? Maybe we'll go backwards from the introductions.
Yeah, for sure, I could start. Something that I definitely thought in my first year is that I didn't know who to go to for questions, but it turns out that a lot of people, if you would just ask them, they're going to answer. So don't be afraid to ask questions, especially during the first couple weeks in a semester, because a bunch of offices actually have welcome events, and I highly recommend taking advantage of every welcome event that's around, because you get to meet people in your community, you get your questions answered, and you might even find out you have questions that you didn't know you had that someone is going to know the answer to. So don't be afraid to reach out to either fellow students or faculty or staff that you see around, because most of the times, 9 out of 10 times, they're going to answer your questions.
Yeah, that's great. Sometimes until you're there for a little while, you don't even know what to ask. So that's a really great advice. Nick, do you have any advice for students, based on that statement, I wish I knew then what I know now?
Yeah, so I would have to say take advantage of all the resources that we have on campus. Um, I would say over the next couple nights we'll be hearing a lot of them over the last couple days, or a lot about them over the next couple days. But the writing center is a big one for me. They'll help you with anything that you have trouble with while you're writing a paper, and they're all incredibly helpful, and they're there to help you. So take advantage of that early on. Definitely, I would have done a lot better in earlier year courses if I knew that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Himanshu, you're a little earlier into your program than either Nick or Becky. So, what have you learned so far that you would like to pass on? That you'd wish you'd known when you first started.
Well, frankly, everything has been worked out perfectly for me. I think it's amazing. But what I would say is like there's so much to explore at university. It's like there's everything for everyone, something for everyone. So there's like if you wanna explore something, whatever you wanna explore, there's a opportunity for that. It's basically just lots of things that you can do, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So it's like a
Okay.
exciting thing that you can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Himanshu, maybe we'll get you to start us off then with the next question as well. Tell us what your first day as a Memorial University student was like. What was your first day on campus like?
My first day on campus. Hmm. I frankly don't remember. I think I just on my first day I just hang out with my roommates. So I just explored all the buildings, every building, almost every building. And when I saw the library, I was just amazed. It's like so. That's like probably my first really good memory of the university. The library. This I went to the fourth floor and just damn, there's so many books. It's like so
Yeah,
many.
it's quite an
Yeah.
impressive building on campus for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Becky? Do you remember back to your first day and what that was like as a university student, sort of coming into St. John's for the first time to attend classes?
So I actually started off living in residence. So it instantly was bam right into welcome activities once we were moved into residence. But it's those first couple days that I remember kind of well, because there was always someone to kind of lean on for support. And then you met new friends because there's people all around you. But I do remember feeling very lost, but then I realized that I was surrounded by people that were also feeling lost. So I didn't feel alone, which was really great. And some of those people have become basically my lifelong friends at this point because it has been 5 years since I moved into residence. But it's an experience that I highly recommend. That's why I also recommend welcome events, because you get those experiences. They're put off for you as first semester students, so why not take advantage of it?
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of activities for the new students coming in. Nick, do you remember back to your first day as a Memorial University student and what that was like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty similar, I feel like, to Becky's experience. It was, I didn't start in res, but it was almost a little bit of panic, starting somewhere new. But I found comfort in everyone was in a similar boat as I was. We were all trying to get to our class together, and then there was trying to navigate the bookstore and the library together. So you found companionship in that, in the chaos of starting your first day.
Yeah, it's that old sort of cliche, misery loves company, but I think that you kind of shake off those nerves pretty quickly, pretty quickly. So Nick, I'm going to, since you're on screen, I'm going to throw the next question to you then. What do you feel is the favorite part of your degree so far? I know you're studying Bachelor of Commerce and doing co-op, but do you have like a favorite moment or a favorite experience?
Yeah, my favorite experience would have to be the events that I do through my faculty. A lot of the faculties on campus have um, the societies, and our society in particular holds off a lot of events. So we've gone bowling and a few other different activities like that, and those have to be my favorite because you're still hanging out with the people that you see in class every day, but it's still it's a little bit of a change of scenery. So,
Yeah, definitely. And what about you, Himanshu? Do you have a favorite moment or something that you've really enjoyed since the start of your degree program?
Well, let's see. I'm doing physics 1050, and I really love it. It's just like so good. I'm doing a bunch of other courses, but physics 1050 is just so good. My professor is awesome, and it's just that's probably my best thing. I just yeah.
So do you get a lot of hands-on activities or in the labs as well as classwork with that course?
Yeah, I do get labs in physics and chemistry. Yeah, yes. But like my
That's
favorite
great.
favorite part is theory. Labs are fine.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And what about you, Becky? Do you have a favorite moment that you can sort of pull out of it, maybe from your first year or even since then?
I don't know if it was so much a favorite moment, but I like the fact that I was able to explore different courses from my faculty, because a lot of people are under an assumption that certain programs are just something certain. And I thought going into English that it would be just writing essays all the time. I had no idea the arrangement of different courses there actually was, and it's not just towards English, it's towards a lot of different programs. Like I never expected I'd be doing courses on comic books, never expected doing courses on film, but you don't really expect that until you're in the shoes. So that was a really good, interesting like thing that I've discovered over the years is being able to explore all the different disciplines and like all the different information that people can get.
I'm glad someone actually referred to their academic program as their favorite part. So what about, we've mentioned Welcome Week a little bit, so that orientation, that Welcome Weeks that happens in the first couple of weeks. But Becky, has there been any other on-campus supports and services that you actually use or have tapped into as part of your program?
So I actually am a student that takes advantage of the London Center because I was diagnosed with ADHD while I was currently a student at MUN. So that is something that a lot of people don't actually know exists until someone tells them. But it's the center for people that have any sort of disability, whether it's physical or kind of like mental or learning disabilities, to go and get accommodations to help with their courses and to help with their experiences at MUN. And they are phenomenal at what they do, and they've helped me so much over the years. So I really am glad that I was able to take advantage of that. And I actually found that out my first semester after a professor actually recommended it to me. So I'm really glad that's on campus and is an option for people.
Awesome. We have had actually another student that's joined the panel. Tim, would you like to just take a moment and introduce yourself and talk, let us know what program you're studying, and a little bit about your background and what year you are in university.
Yeah, sure. So, hello everyone. My name is Tim. I'm an international student from Bangladesh, and I'm in my second year right now. I still didn't declare my major. I'm in Bachelor of Science, but intending to do a joint major in physics and computer science. So, yeah, that's my background.
Excellent. So I'm going to keep you with me just for 1 second because
Sure.
we had an opportunity to ask each of the other students a question to get things warmed up. What do you wish you knew in your first weeks of classes or early on in your first semester that you know now that you feel might have helped you at that time? Is there anything you've learned that you wish you knew then at that point in time as a new student?
Um, on my first week, I kind of like from the very beginning, I tried like getting more involved with the like activities on campus, like the clubs and societies and everything. And I tried like on the very first from the very first week of my classes, like I tried joining as many like seminars or like meetups and stuff like that from the very beginning. And other than that, I guess like probably I might say like maybe I might have been a bit more like if I went to my academic advisor who were like more specialized in my field of interest, like for example physics and computer science, on the very first week, that might have been a bit more helpful, like to decide what I want to do and stuff like that. But other than that, I'd say like, yeah, I usually like from the very first week I started, I tried starting on a very, like getting more involved and in that sense, yeah.
Yeah. That's a really great point to make, though, about all the advisors that are there to help you right throughout your
Yeah,
degree program.
yeah,
And whether you're already admitted to that department or faculty, they're there to help you and help inform you about what you might be wanting to do in your first year before you even start to declare your major or decide on your program. So that's a really good point to make for sure. Um, Maybe the next question we can ask, because there are, we often hear from students like they don't know how they're going to get to meet other students. They don't know how those friendships are going to happen. So maybe Nick, you can get us started and just answer the question like, how did you get to meet people, either in your coursework or other people that were attending university at the same time?
Well, a big thing for me in business was group work. You meet a lot of people through group work, and they're all very friendly. And similar to what I said earlier, everyone's in the same boat. So when you go into your class, if you just sit down next to someone and turn to them and say, "Oh, hi, hey, I'm so and so," they will strike up a conversation with you. And it's really nice to have like that sense of community. Like you can make friends very easily just by saying, "Hello, I'm whoever."
Yeah.
So I'd recommend that if in some of your first classes, just go in and just say, "Hello, I'm whoever," and then it'll go on from there. So
Yeah, some of those people you're next to every day are the people that you end up spending the most time with for sure, right? That you end up sitting next to on your first day of classes. Becky, what about you? How did you tend to meet other people? You said you weren't from St. John's and you were when you were first attending classes. You mentioned a little bit about residents, but did you get to meet other people on campus as well outside of that environment?
So while I did start off in residence, I did meet a lot of people there. Where I have gained most of my friends in university is actually not from my classes, but rather from getting involved with volunteering. I started off volunteering from the Student Volunteer Bureau back in 2019, and I haven't stopped since. I'm currently the coordinator there. Um, and it's where I've met most of my friends. So that's why I always highly recommend that students get involved, even if it's something small, because you never know where you're going to find the people that are like-minded to you. Because most of the time, you're volunteering or getting involved with an organization or society or something like that, it's someone that's like-minded to you. And I can't explain how much it's impacted my life in university because half the people that I talk to on a daily basis and half the people I know have come from getting involved rather than in my coursework. And that has also brought me closer to people that I see in my classes occasionally too.
Yeah, that's excellent. Now, Becky, I know you're our only humanities and social sciences student on this panel, so I'm going to pick on you a little bit now while you're still on screen. How did you decide on your major? Did you know coming in what you were going to study? Was it kind of learning as you go? How did you choose that program?
So the funny thing is I actually started off in the nursing program. And then I transitioned it into the Bachelor of Arts, and I completely just looked through the website and saw what I thought I would be interested in. And then with the breadth of knowledge component of the humanities and social science degree. You have to take different courses to kind of get your bachelor's. And I went from trying to get a major in linguistics and a minor in philosophy to doing English because as soon as I took my English course, I absolutely fell in love with it and I could not have enough. It was something that made me rather happy. And then I took other courses and realized, oh my gosh, like this is something I enjoy doing. So, when you're entering into humanities, social sciences, or anything like that, I do recommend putting your feet in the water, see what you like, because sometimes it just ends up coming right to you instead of you trying to find it. But the decision wasn't hard once I found out I actually enjoyed it. So,
Yeah. No, that's great. Tim, maybe you can answer that question as well. You said you hadn't declared your program, but you have decided on your program. So how did you come to make that decision now that you're in your, through partway through your second year?
So to begin with, like I actually came here to study physics. Like I started with the intention of studying physics because I generally like physics, and other than that, like computer science is more like I mean first of all, my parents were kind of insisting me to do something a bit more practical, like computer science engineering or something like that. And also like computer science in general does have like a very good like like it has a lot of opportunities if you have a degree in computer science and stuff like that. So when I saw the joint program option in our university, I was like, that might be a good option. Like I can keep physics, which is my interest, as well as like also do something which is more practical. Also, that would my parents would be satisfied by that as well. So that's kind of the reasons I ended up thinking of deciding to do major in computer science and physics.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, it's an interesting experience that you're sort of, doing something for you and maybe something for somebody else. But the way that you combine things together, I mean, that's the uniqueness of a university degree,
Yeah.
and the fact that Memorial offers so many different options. You
Mhm.
can put that kind of really specialized program together, and really discover where that might take you. Could be, in many, many different directions.
Yeah.
Nick, what about you? Did you always know you were going to go into a business program? Was it something that you maybe had to make a decision on early on in your degree?
Yeah, I was always pretty interested in business. I was always interested in accounting, more specifically in high school and stuff. I was interested in that side of the math, the money math type thing. So I knew business was the course that I wanted to go into when I started at Memorial, and I haven't changed yet. So
Oh, that's good. So, I mean, sometimes people do know what exactly they're going to be doing, and then it does prove to be the right thing for them. Nick, I'm going to leave you on screen now for a second because I'm going to ask you a little bit about your co-op program. You're the only one of our panelists right now that are doing a co-op. How was the moving into? How prepared did you feel, and what kind of things happened to prepare you for moving into that first work experience as part of your academic program?
yeah, so the co-op office does a really amazing job of preparing you for that first work term. Um, And you hear from your employer a lot leading up into the first day of the work term. So I wasn't really nervous in starting my job, for my first work term. The even the courses leading up to that made me kind of confident in my abilities to do well at that work term. It was an accounting work term, so everything, like I said, everything leading up to that was very well prepared and very helpful.
Excellent. So the next thing I'm going to ask, because I think a lot of people don't really know this, and I am just going to caution that we are sort of getting to about the halfway point with our student panel right now. So if anyone has any questions, anybody in our audience would like to ask a question of our student panel, just pop it in the chat. I can see it when it comes up, and we'll make sure to weave that into our conversation. But Himansu, I'm going to ask you the next question because I do know that you do work on campus because you do some work with our office. What has your work experience been like on campus work experience been like, and how did you come to find that position?
Well, it's been very smooth. So how did I find it? So I think I applied for lots of jobs from iSwap and MuSwap. And then you guys just emailed me, and we had little chat, and you guys just accepted my position. And it's been really good. I learned a lot to like how to present, how to talk, how to do various things, how to give people tours and stuff. Just whenever you do anything, you learn always. So yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
So Himansu and Tim are both tour guides with our office. So they have been working with the Office of Student Recruitment. If you ever want to book a tour, Himansu or Tim may be one of the people that will sort of guide you around if you're here on campus or virtually. We also host virtual tours too. So it is a real learning opportunity. And when Himansu mentioned a minute ago, ISWEP and MUSEP, those are our on-campus opportunities for students to work part-time throughout the semester. So we have had a question that's come in, and I know that someone had mentioned about a faculty advisor, and I believe it was Tim. Basically, the question says then, did you get assigned a faculty advisor, or did you have to seek out a faculty advisor to help with your decisions?
So technically, I didn't get assigned to a faculty advisor. Like I just got assigned to a general advisor most of the time. But like I actually went out to find about my faculty advisor, like for physics and computer science. And then I had to like book an appointment. Like I used to navigate to book an appointment with them or just email them. And yeah, that's how like I actually got my faculty, specific, major specific advisor in general to talk to.
Yeah. So another office within the registrar's office. So the recruitment office is part of a much larger office called the registrar's office that handle a lot of onboarding activities and introducing students into the university and be really there with them right throughout their whole degree. So the academic advising center will be the office that will help with your first choice in courses, and they sort of act as advisors for all students that until they decide on their faculty and program. If you do have a decision made about your program, then there are, like Tim said, undergraduate advisors in each of our departments. All our faculties and schools have them, and they're a really great access. They'll be there to introduce themselves during welcome weeks and then with you right throughout your degree program to help with those course choices as well. Okay, so let me see about another question. Please, if you have any other questions coming in. So there was someone that asked about how to get a part-time job on campus, and sort of where those on-campus jobs are. So Nick, do you want to talk a little bit about that, about the on-campus work that students might be able to do?
Yes, so through Memorial, we offer MUSEP and ISWEP positions. They're through their own database on the My Mun Life website. So once you start at Memorial, you'll have through mymun.ca, you can go to My Mun Life, which is just a big database of all of the different jobs that are available on campus. And this can be in whatever faculty that you'd like to have a job in. So you would just apply like everyone else, really, and go
Yeah,
on
so
from there.
it's kind of a closed job bank. It is only available to students who are current students, regardless of where you're coming from and what program you're doing. There is on-campus work, part-time work is available through that job bank, and it's just about getting out there, looking through the jobs. Our positions in the recruitment office are a little bit different in that you get to learn how to be a tour guide and offer those tours both on campus and virtually. But there's all kinds of different working in research labs, working in various offices, but a lot of opportunity to actually provide supports and services to other students as well. I know that we had talked a little bit earlier about those supports and services and what students the panelists might have tapped into. What about also looking at clubs and society? So is anyone a member of their student society? Maybe Becky, I think you answered this a little bit, but what kinds of things did you get involved in specifically that allowed you to meet other students?
So specifically in my experience, it was mostly volunteering, but it was also helping out with like different organizations when they did volunteer events. But where in my current position at MUN, I have connections with MUNSU, and they have a literal database on their website of just ratified clubs and societies, and a lot of people don't realize they're there. But it has everything from global brigades to societies for different departments. It has like a board game club. There's all these different things, and that's where a lot of people go when they want to get involved. But I personally was with my residents at first, and then I slowly like went into the Munsu student life part of it. But there are so many different societies on the Munsu website, and it's actually phenomenal how many different groups there are. And there's literally, I know one of the other panelists said this, but there's something for anyone. Like there is a piece of Mon that is made for someone.
Becky, I'm going to keep you on for a second because someone else has actually asked about the type of volunteer work that you do right now, what you're involved in that way.
So the way I first started get involved was in the charity committee at Residence, which I'm not sure if it actually still exists at this point, but basically we kind of did fundraisers for charity. And through that, I met someone that ended up being the coordinator at the Student Volunteer Bureau, and she brought me on as a volunteer assistant. And then that transitioned into me being operation lead, which actually helps Student Life organize their events for winter and fall welcome. So that's why I have a lot of intel on that. And then I continued being a volunteer assistant. I helped there at the campus food bank, which is also a resource for students when they're here if they have any food insecurity issues. I've helped with different organizations doing fundraisers, and I've helped with places off campus as well. But I really ended up sticking around like the student life because I really wanted to help other students because I wanted to be that person that like I wanted when I was in my first year. But because of all these different experiences and different volunteer things I did, it gave me a lot of professional and career development as well. And that's why I'm currently in the position I am. So I do recommend it if you're that kind of person.
Oh, that's great. That's really great insight. So I know at times when I'm out presenting in schools, and maybe we'll get Tim to answer this question as a science student. What's a typical day like? What kind of what kind of activities do you do throughout the day, Tim? Your classes, but also outside of class as well.
In general, like other than classes and studies to complete, like if I like this semester I took like 3 courses and all 3 of my courses have labs, so I have to spend a bit more time, in labs, and like labs are usually longer, like 2 hours or 3 hours at times. So that's why like I have to spend a bit more time in labs. But other than that, like the lectures and studies, I try being involved in like I'm currently living on campus, so I try getting involved on several on-campus activities, like getting out, meeting people, making friends, or different other activities as well. Like I'm also like the sports representative of my house, so I also take part in like several sports, like playing soccer or volleyball and stuff like that. And also like I tried getting involved in some club activities as well, like in physics club, physics and German clubs, I mean club society. And like I'm also like the treasurer of the physics society as well. So yeah, these are like some of the things I try getting involved in. Like also other than that, I used to play video games before coming here. I kind of like, like reduce that after moving here, playing video games, or even like I'm big into soccer as well, like watching soccer. So I do watch soccer as well at times. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty much like my typical, day or week in general. Like try usually try getting involved in several, activities and stuff like that, either sports or meeting people and stuff like that. Yeah, other than studies.
Excellent. Yeah. So there is a couple of questions come in that maybe I'll kind of cover off. Someone had asked about if you don't have any previous volunteer experience, can you still act as a volunteer? And I would say definitely yes. There's never too late. There's never a time that you have to have experience to move into volunteer work. And I know Becky and the other coordinators or the other students that are there in the Student Volunteer Bureau, they can help you figure it out, whether you have 1 hour a week or just maybe a couple of hours and you just want to try, put your toe in the water, see what it's like. You don't have to have any prior experience to volunteer. You just have to have the desire, and they will help you find what's going to be really well suited to you as well. Someone else had asked another question. Someone had asked again about the part-time jobs and if there's any specific work that they look for within the School of Music. One of the things with our School of Music program, there is a lot of participation in shows. So in performing, whether you're performing yourself or volunteering during someone else's performance, they do hire within the School of Music quite a few students to help with those performances when there's concerts going on, but also they have an archive within the School of Music that they house a lot of materials, and they're always looking for students to help with either research in the archive or to help maintain the archive as well. There was another quick question talking about volleyball. I'm just going to find that now. A club sport for volleyball. So yes, we do have a varsity team. So there's a men's and women's varsity volleyball team, but there's also an opportunity at any point in time to get some friends together and use the volleyball courts that are available in our recreation facilities. Does anybody, I don't know if any of our panelists are particularly involved. I know, Tim, you had mentioned about watching soccer. Do you play soccer with any of the intramural programs or just get together with some of your friends to play on campus
Yeah,
as well?
I do play soccer in the intramural. Like as I'm living on campus, so I play with my house, like as our house team. Like I'm in Bowater, so I play as a Bowater team in the intramurals, and we do face teams like the medicine department or art science department. Like they're probably like department. Each department usually have a team, like a soccer team or volleyball team and stuff like that. So students can probably take part in those, by applying or something like that. Yeah.
Excellent. So there is another question here about someone's wondering about, is there a recommendation whether they should live on campus or off campus? And I feel like we have like a student panel that's kind of done a little bit of both. Tim, did you live in residence or have you always lived off campus?
My first semester in winter, I was on campus, and then over the summer, I was living off campus. Now I'm back on campus again, and talking about on campus and off campus, like on campus can be great for for new students, like to make friends, meet people. I mean, like it's much better than living off campus. Like off campus can be a bit lonely at times if you're not that outgoing and outspoken, like talking to people and stuff like that. But again, yeah, I mean, for beginner, for first year or second year students, like on campus can be amazing in that sense. But again, off campus might have some advantages, like in terms of like off campus can give you more options in general, like where do you want to leave or and stuff like that. So yeah, there are like pros and cons of both, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Becky, do you want to chime in on that? I know that you had mentioned about living on campus in your first year as well. Are you still living on campus?
I currently live in an apartment, but I personally think that if you are coming to mine and it's your first time, to go into residence. But it isn't for everybody. That's the thing. It is your own personal preference. I love living off campus mostly because I can have my cat who's been trying to get on the screen this whole time. And he's currently staring at it. But it also allowed me to have kind of more freedom than I did on campus. But I still highly recommend being on campus because, like, you get that closer knit thing, especially if you're coming from somewhere that you don't like. I was one of the only people from my class that came out here. I didn't know anybody. So it got me easily connected to other people, But once I was there for a year, I'm like, I'm ready to move on. But it is a personal preference. Some people will leave for the summer and go back. It's really to the person. So I would say stick your toes in the water and see what you like before making a permanent decision.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Nick, I know you had mentioned earlier about the writing center and taking advantage of, the support that they have provided you. And someone is asking about, is there tutoring or support available for all courses and all programs? So, Nick, has there been any of the other support services or tutoring you've taken advantage of over your time as a student?
Yeah, for sure. I've taken advantage of the business kind of academic advising that they have. So each faculty would sometimes have their own advisors to help pick out future courses. So I've taken advantage of that, especially now where I'm starting to choose more electives. And in the past, I've went to math help centers as well, specifically when I was doing calculus. I was never great at those courses, so those help centers were really helpful in getting through the assignments and getting through the homework.
Yeah, that's great. Himansu, what about you? I know you have a love for physics. You mentioned that that's your favorite course you're doing right now. Have you taken advantage of the Physics Help Center at all with your coursework?
So far, no. I have taken advantage of the academic advising center. So
Mm-hmm.
initially, I was planning to do computer science, but then I just engineering just sounded too good, and then I switched to engineering. And so I went there, and everything was like super smooth. I just went there, they helped me out. It's like just super smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things with our help centers, so there are a variety of them around the university, and a lot of times when you go into a help center, it's other senior students that are actually helping you. So they're there to provide help through coursework that they've been there, they've done those introductory courses, and they're there to help you through that process. But then somewhere like the Academic Advising Center, those are professional academic advisors that can really help with, choosing the coursework that you're doing and making sure that you're taking advantage of all the courses that you're doing. Um, there's a couple of questions here around admissions and deadlines and things like that. So in the next, after we've clue up here with our panel in a few minutes, starting at the top of the hour, we're actually going to be hosting 3 separate breakout sessions that you can bring these admissions questions. So someone had asked about deadlines for applying, someone had asked about submitting an application for another program, or also about early acceptance. So those sessions are a really great place to bring those questions and ensure that you're talking to the admissions and the recruitment professionals that are going to be there. It's interesting that someone had asked about pets on campus. I know Becky had said about having her cat and living off campus with her cat. There are certain types of pets that are allowed on campus. They encourage people to have fish, for example. Nothing that can really sort of escape and get running around in residence or that needs, a tremendous amount of care or might be difficult to look after in campus, unless it's a support animal. They do look and really welcome students that already have a support animal in their life, that they really help. So they have certain rooms that are there if you do have a support animal, that you continue to get that support from them. Lots of questions about clubs and societies and putting on show. Someone had asked about a drama club and theater performance. There is so many different choices with the clubs and societies. Someone had also asked about media, like being involved in a media club. But then it was funny because someone else then chimed in and said about CHMR. So if you're interested in media, like all different types of media, we do have CHMR FM. It is our radio station that's here on campus. It's really interesting to listen to if you're able. You can access it online. If you're someone that's interested in doing that, you can really develop your own programming. We had a group of pharmacy students, for example, one time that were talking about, medications for mental health issues, or every week they'd bring on a different expert and talk about different types of medications, or talk about cannabis use or drug use and the effects that it can have on your system. So really, if you wanted to run a punk rock show like my son's friend did in the middle of the night, then that's your choice. And you develop the programming, they'll teach you how to run that on the radio station, and it's a really great way to get involved as well. So we only have a few minutes left here, and I know there may be some questions that are there that we hadn't quite gotten to, but I really want to give the panel, everybody on the panel, an opportunity to give sort of final words of advice. What kind of things would you really encourage a student to find out about, or some activity or something, some words of advice, words of encouragement you'd like to give to our future students in sort of the last 5 minutes or so? I'm going to swing right back around to Nick to get us started on any words of advice he has for our future students.
My words of advice would be to talk to your professors. It was something that I was always very nervous about, because they're, big university and professors kind of intimidating, but they're really not. They're very helpful. And if I ever got confused about what I was supposed to do for an assignment, or what to expect on an exam, I would run right to the professor, and they are so helpful. They will explain everything in great detail to you, and they're super nice, and they love when people come to ask them questions. So that's my piece of advice. Just ask your professors anything that comes to your mind.
Yeah, and who knows, it might turn into learning about the research and a summer research job for you. You never know. How about Tim? Is there any words of advice you'd like to give to our future students?
Well, I'd say try getting more involved with several, like besides studies, try getting more involved with several activities and events and everything throughout the university. Like there are like several things happening besides just studies in the university, and just keep an eye on them, like through posters or following several like social media platforms and stuff like that, and try getting involved. Like that can be really interesting and amazing. Like that can enhance your experience, like meet people, get to network and stuff like that. So yeah.
Excellent. Becky, what about you? Any final words of advice for our future students?
I think the most advice I have is remember that this is your education, but it's also the best couple years of your life, really. So take advantage of everything. If someone says, "Oh, there's free pizza here," go to the free pizza and see what's going on. Meet new people. Ask questions. Don't hesitate. Talk to people, because sometimes people are doing the exact same thing as you and they have same likes. So just explore it. Explore it all. Don't limit yourself to your faculty or anything like that, because there's people all over that are going to become your friends. People that have the same likes as you, people that have the same like experiences. So venture out, basically. Make sure that it's not just focused on your studies, because at the end of the day, of course your classes are very important, but you gotta have the best experiences you can.
Yeah, great. Himanshu, we're going to have you sort of answer this final question then. What words of advice do you have for any new student, maybe even an international student like yourself that's coming to Memorial for the first time?
Try different things. So there is so much you can try or explore here at university. So just try, even though you know that you what you want, it's still a good idea to try other stuff that you don't know anything about, and have fun, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fun. I mean, it is work, and it is your academic program is there to challenge you and teach you an awful lot, but it is fun too. So I really do encourage students to take the time to really keep an open mind. And I think that would be my words of advice, whether it's, getting out of your comfort zone and trying something new by getting involved, or trying a course or a subject that you've never thought you would ever try before. That's certainly, something I would really, really encourage. I probably would have never completed a major in psychology if I hadn't gone out there and said, oh, I don't really know much about that course. I really, I had an interest in it, and I just tried a single course, and it ended up being, my my major for my degree program. Couple of quick questions that we want to cover off. Someone had asked, how do you book a virtual tour? So Nick, do you want to let them know how they book a virtual tour? Nick is our tour program coordinator for this semester in our office. So maybe he can give some insight onto that.
Yeah, so when you go to the campus tour page on mun.ca, we'll have the registration times below it. We put out the registration times for each week. So you can just register for whatever time you'd like. It's very similar to this style. It's a presentation. But we'll answer any questions that you may have during that presentation. And I very much encourage it to anyone who can't come do an on-campus tour, register for the virtual tour because you get a sense of what campus is like.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a presentation, but you may meet Tim or Hermansu that day because they also help with our virtual tours as our virtual tour guides. So it's a great opportunity to, like I said, learn a little bit about Memorial University in a very easy format, and then maybe take the leap and come on campus as well to have a look around. So that's it for our student panel. I'm going to ask John to just run our virtual tour video. So there is a video that we're going to play now that gives an overview of the St. John's campus. Right after that, we're going to then move into our breakout sessions. So there will be 3 program and admission session. Regardless of the campus you're interested in, it's more by where you're coming from. So we have one session for international students, another session for Canadian students outside of Newfoundland, and then a third session for those students, those applicants from Newfoundland. And then later on this evening, after the admission and program sessions, we're going to have 3 of our campus present themselves. So even though our overall event is focusing very much on our St. John's campus, we're going to have our Grenfell campus, our Labrador campus, and our Marine Institute provide presentations on those 3 campuses of Memorial. And then over the next 2 nights, you'll really get to immerse yourself into the St. John's campus because we will have 10 of our academic units doing those presentations Wednesday and Thursday night. And you can always go back to the homepage for the event, and I'll put that in the chat so that you can see when that specific time is. And like I said, get out of your comfort zone, have a look at something maybe you haven't done before. So that's it for our student panel. Thank you so much for our students that were with us this evening. It's been great to get to know you a little bit better, and I'm sure there was lots of words of advice there for our students that are joining us. So I'll have John play the video, and we'll see you later on this evening in those sessions. Thank you.
Perched on the continental edge of North America sits St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, city of legends and home to Memorial University's largest campus. Where we are defines who we are. We have an edge, and our location is an advantage we use to get a deeper understanding of science, technology, and society. It's also a big part of why our students, faculty, staff, and partners come together like they do. Some people say Memorial University is a community within a community. We have 18,000 students studying more than 100 undergraduate and graduate degree options in fields like science, technology, education, medicine, music, humanities, and social sciences, with even more students taking advantage of the 450 courses we offer online. This place has so much history, the fossils date back 500 million years. It's that kind of deep-rooted history that the university was named for. Memorial University was established in 1925 as a memorial to the Newfoundlanders who lost their lives in the First World War. The university quickly outgrew its original home, and in 1961, the Arts and Administration Building became the first of 4 original buildings to be erected on the new Elizabeth Avenue campus. Since then, the campus has grown to include more than 60 buildings. Today, there are more than 16,000 meters of underground tunnels. We call them munnels, and overhead pedways connecting many of the buildings on campus, including the residences. This is quite handy for those unique days when we experience all 4 seasons in a single day. The Works, Memorial's recreational complex, is the largest in our province. It has a 6-lane, 200-meter indoor track and fitness studios for cardio, toning, and weightlifting, plus a full range of exercise classes. It's also home to the Memorial Seahawks. Cheer them on or join them in 8 varsity sports: soccer, swimming, volleyball, wrestling, cross-country running, track and field, basketball, and curling. The QE2 Library is a St. John's landmark and the largest research library collection east of Montreal. Maclean's magazine actually ranked it as one of Canada's best university libraries. And we agree. It has 2 million print and online publications, support services, and versatile workspaces, including a dedicated quiet space. You know, for when you really have to hit the books. Speaking of landmarks, the iconic Memorial Tower was built in 2000 and can be seen from almost anywhere on campus. Right next door is the University Center, the hub of student life. A key stop on the transit system, students can travel from here to every corner of the city. 6 stories high, it houses the food court, our campus bookstore, health clinics, support services, communal spaces, and the Breezeway, one of 2 bars on campus. Check out open mic night sometime. If live music's not really your scene, try Bitter's Pub. It's run by our graduate students, has great beers on tap, and hosts an incredible trivia night. Our internationally recognized Faculty of Medicine is primarily housed within the Medical Education Center, which is attached to our province's largest hospital, located right here on campus. Students from our pharmacy and nursing programs also complete some of their training here. The center hosts clinical learning, simulation training, and advanced research, as well as our world-leading genetic and genomic research center. Our internationally accredited Faculty of Business Administration is home to one of the most successful student competition groups in Canada. Our business students have won many national and international competitions, including several World Cup titles. Our Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science and the Department of Computer Science share the same building. Cross-disciplinary research is the way of the future, and a shared space encourages the sharing of ideas. Memorial offers several undergraduate engineering specializations, but we are the only university in the country with an undergraduate program in ocean and naval architectural engineering. In fact, we're the only school in the world to offer a co-op program in that discipline. This building offers some fascinating facilities, like a 54-meter towing tank, a mechatronics lab, a multi-phase flow lab with a 65-meter recirculation open circuit system, and a structures lab complete with a 10-ton overhead crane for deconstructive testing. No other university has access to so many cold ocean zones, along with the facilities and expertise of a globally recognized cold ocean technology hub. Cool, huh? Memorial is well connected to the city. Many walking trails cut through the campus and lead all over St. John's and beyond. The vibrant downtown streets of St. John's are lined with boutiques, galleries, world-class restaurants, and cozy coffee shops. And at night, they come alive with music and entertainment. And if you're looking for outdoor fun, you've found the right place. In your free time, enjoy the very best in adventure tourism, like sea kayaking, skiing, ziplining, golfing, or hiking and biking our many coastal trails. But perhaps the best thing to do here is simply stop and take a deep breath, because a fresh perspective is never far from reach.
Now we're going to open up our breakout groups now. Back. You can see in room 1 we have Newfoundland and Labrador applicants for tonight. Room 2, Canadian applicants, and room 3 is for our international applicants. And we'll be sticking around the main room if anyone has trouble getting in there, but you should be able to join them starting now. Three. No, Manchu, you should be in 2.